You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some Black Clover goodiness right here, and I'm very happy as I got the first and second volume finally in my clutches and all that. I'm goddamn excited about that, since, you know, I've been enjoying this series and all that, and rereading like the early material of the series, I can definitely see how much like it was pretty goddamn rough, and, you know, the series of stuff, you know, still has a long way to go and all that from its improving this and all that, but still seeing that, you know, a lot of people are liking it for what it is and all that really just makes me happy. And then seeing, you know, like just the future and all this of the series and all that, that's like already promptness of getting an anime, already like stuff like a lot of people building up and all that, and it just makes me happy like day by day and all that. If I hear like someone saying, hey, I actually checked this out and all that, it's like, you know, like, thank you, Hannah, for recommending it. I know it's no masterpiece, but I really do have a lot of fun with it, and that at the end of the day is the only thing I ever care about and all that when I'm trying to get people into the series, and that's the fact of the entertainment value and all that. They're enjoying it and having fun with it. So we're going to cut right into the next chapter right now, and I gotta say, immediately cutting off and all that, we get to see very heavily focusing on like all of just Yuno fighting off against like these diamond generals. And although we did get a little funny part at the start where it was like we saw Charmy, we saw Asta, and like fucking saw Yami like busted up Finn, and was like, yo man, get us over there right now, don't care what you're doing and all that. Fuck trying to hit our bitches. You gotta get us there to that battlefield. We want that stuff on there right now. And honestly, for the most part and all that for the chapter, it was pretty much just a stomp fest for the most part and all that, where it was just like, honestly, Yuno was just taking on two of these general guys like they were just nothing, and it was just like, yeah, let's just show that it's definitely like the whole chapter, this chapter and last week's chapter is definitely showcasing how far he's come already by the time we've been focusing on Asta, which I've already said like pretty much in the last chapter as well. I kind of like that they are doing this side by side, seeing like, you know, how like the two are, you know, always got the like upper hand and one another. It's like, oh, you think Asta's like kind of like really progressing there, then it's like, no, it's Yuno that's finally gotten there. And I gotta say, it's like, we could have probably had this in like, the only kind of real complaint I have with the chapter is like, we could probably have had that in like last week's chapter. It kind of showed that already, instead of like showing these guys already getting like fucked up. But, you know, we did get to see him like combining with like his little like fairy and all that, which we saw, you know, the wind element and all like that. Bell is like combining it with his bow and like bow and arrow, and doing this like wind magic white gale bow that just fires and just obliterates that like ram looking motherfucker, and it also as well takes out that like dude with the slicked back hair. It's just like these guys and all that, like pretty much nothing at the moment. And I kind of like that just one moment in saying like, he's like, oh, you think you can protect yourself and like also as well all these citizens as well, and he's like, and then like Yuno just turns it around on him. He's like, you really think you can protect yourself at the moment and your boys in the background, because you ain't doing too fresh at the moment against that Golden Dawn like that. You ain't doing too much. And then when we cut to like one of like, from what we saw now, one of the Golden Dawn members and all that with vengeance, like kind of like, boy, I think his name was like Lengis, or I believe like his name was like, I think it was like Lengis or Langris, like his name, and we got to see what his magic was, which is like seemingly able to cut and all that, like anything and all that you got. And he seems kind of a little bit sadistic actually when we saw him, when he was just like, you know, like when we went to the guy that's had this weird sea slug magic, and it was just like, your magic and all that is just like, is pretty meaningless when I'm facing it, and literally cuts the guy clean like near in half, alongside with just the walls and everything that was around it as well. It's just like, yeah, that was pretty much like if anything, like it was trying to like be a bit reminiscent of like kind of like when like Gin from like Bleach and all that did like the Bankai, he like takes the buildings out behind the sides of him. I feel like it was trying to do something like that. Obviously it's a Zanpakuto though, but it's like that was something like that, and I'm like, okay, maybe they might have something in the guy future so far, but definitely showing that, you know, people like besides Yuno and the people that we've already seen, that this is kind of why they're like this intimidating, why they're the highest ranking people in the entirety of the Clover Kingdom, is because they can definitely do the work and they do a shit ton of damage. Especially this guy, like who's like pretty much one of the lackeys and all that, is able to do that. There was a nice little thing as we saw Vengeance like right at the top and all that. He had like these roots implanted everywhere, and we did get to see like the one of the old guys from like the temple comes back. The dude with like the goatee, I believe that was the one that from what we saw in there was fighting. So that was like kind of cool that we got to see him again and all that. But it's like he wasn't that kind of the meaningful character at the end of it. But it seems like from what it looks like, he is kind of like very important. And if that's the case and all that, he's there. I want to know where Mars is at the moment. Like where exactly is he at the moment? And that's the more curious thing. And just where he's just like, I could like with the entire thing of Vengeance thing where he can feed off other people's energy. So not only is he doing that around the battlefield and all that, he's probably doing that to the enemy and alongside probably with like maybe some of his comrades as well, and just decides to use this immense power just to fuck them up with all that by making this giant like tree and all that called Yggdrasil, which also is a reference to the giant Norse mythology of the tree and all that giant spirit tree. And it's just like, when you see him right at the end, it's just like, all for the glory of the kingdom of Clover. And I'm just like, this motherfucker, like, this guy, like, just summons this tree that's as big as the actual city itself, fucking everything up. And I find that was more interesting. It's not that he's just powerful, like, that he was able to use this kind of magic. It's that his magic actually relies on absorbing other people's magic. Like, in a way where it's like, you have the same thing with Asta's sword. And I feel like if Asta ever fights this guy in the near foreseeable future, then that's kind of the thing where this guy is going to be at a huge disadvantage, where it's like, I can't absorb this fucker's magic. Like, I can't do that. So I'm looking forward to, like, maybe that's, like, the one thing Asta has an advantage on this guy, where it's like, it's seemingly like the biggest advantage of his magic is that either, like, if he's against a strong opponent or multiple opponents, then he can just easily drain away. And it seems like this guy, like, Vengeance, you do not want to fight him enough, like, in a duel or over time and all that, because he would just drain you over time. And it seems like this is a guy you gotta get him quick and finish off fast, definitely, from what we've seen like that. But it seems like at the moment and all that, unless Yami, I don't know, Yami I'd say is near his equal power level and all that, but I didn't even think Yami would get bobbed by this guy, so we'll have to see. But mind you, he has got a new dimensional slice, but definitely I did really enjoy this chapter. I think, like, maybe a little bit too much focus on the Yuno stuff. I think, like, a little bit too much. I think we kind of understood already how much of his power was. I do think it was still an enjoyable chapter, but I do feel like there has been a little bit of the pacing issue for the past this chapter and last week's chapter, so I'd like things kind of like progress a little bit further. But if we do see Mars again, I would be very excited to see him again, see like what's been happening with him, whether or not he's like going to leave these guys and all that, and he's going to do his own thing. So hope we see that in the foreseeable future. But I did really still enjoy this chapter a lot, and all that. Had a lot of positives and all that, and I definitely seeing Vengeance power and all that, like plants and all that. I'm glad I was kind of right at the end that, yeah, and definitely following us to that stuff with Hungry Joker and all that, with like one of the villains and all that had that like plant power that was really interesting. And it's like, I thought it was an interesting way how he's using it, where it's just like yeah, I'm powerful, but I do need the requirement of absorbing other people's magic. So it was a nice little like treat there to see that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. What do you think about the Black Clover chapter overall? I'm probably going to give this, like, especially this chapter, probably I'd like to give it a 6.5 to like near 7 and all that. I think it was a good chapter, but then as well as like there were some things and all that about it. It was like pacing wise and all that, I wasn't like too feeling it this week and all that. But I do like really like William's power and all that. I think that's a really cool plan, like manipulation and all that, and summoning Yggdrasil and all that was definitely powerful as hell. But that's all for me, so I will see you beautiful though guys though next time.